Hi guys, this is Prashant Rao, and just wanted to follow up from our video yesterday. So the markets did turn. Yesterday I was talking about the possibility of the market turning at the futures gap, and I also talked about the divergence between the Russell, S&P, and Nasdaq. And uh, so today it looks like the market has started turning, and we might see a little more downside. How far down, I think, is yet to be seen. Depends on a lot of factors. But in the end, uh, as always, I look for the price. I watch the price, how it's moving, and that usually tells me whether the market is headed lower or will just continue to either chop around or do whatever it's doing. So I think the important lesson, I would say, for traders in general, or if not a lesson, something to keep in mind is trading requires a lot of patience. And um, if you're trading too frequently, you're very likely to make a loss. And once you make a loss, you try to make up for it. You make even more mistakes. You take more risky bets, and eventually you blow up your account. So that's why 90% of people who trade stocks um, generally blow up their account in about 3 months, 3 to 6 months. In futures and forex, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 95 or even 98%, since they're highly leveraged instruments. Uh, so it's very important to find that the right opportunity, and and that's the reason I stress on high probability trades. So with that, let's go into a few charts. Let's look at the S&P. And yesterday, I was watching this double top formation here. Wasn't entirely clear that it's a double top, but I suspected that the market was headed lower because we saw this key reversal in here. And I wanted to wait for a day just to make sure that we see the right price action. And sure enough, it headed lower. And one could have technically um, put in a stop, uh, put in an entry point here, a sell stop here, and a buy stop here, a stop loss. And then my suspicion is we'll at least see a downside of probably until here, uh, if not lower. So we'll have to see. So this is approximately would be 1:3, uh, so somewhere around thereabouts. So those are the kind of trades that I like to take. And while everyone was focused on Amazon, FANG stocks, and the next hot thing, I was looking underneath, and um, I looked at a lot of charts yesterday, and I found several of them that were exhibiting similar patterns, and that led me to believe that we would certainly see the high probability of seeing a down uh, day tomorrow, today. So one of the stocks I was looking at was uh, First Solar, and here there was a clear double top formation across the neckline, and I didn't have to wait for this to you know cross the neckline. I just put in a sell stop order here, and then it got triggered, and I suspect it's going to head much lower from here. Why do I suspect it's headed much lower? For that, you have to look at the weekly chart. So let's take a look at the weekly chart. And in the weekly, you'll see that there's this giant double top. One here and one here. And we've crossed the neckline. Crossed the neckline, bounced back, and now we are starting to see this reversal happen. So this is the kind of entry point that I generally choose. So once it bounces back, it tends to reverse, and I put in a sell stop here, got in, and if you look at the monthly chart, perhaps it will be clearer. So you can see that this has been going sideways for a long time, and now it's starting to trend lower. So you could almost see like a major resistance out here. So you see one cutting all the way through a triple top kind of formation, and now it's the next jump here did not quite make it to the top, and it started reversing, and now we see this weekly reversal that's about to happen. Yet to be seen, but that's what I suspect. And we're probably looking at a price point of around here at the very least. And if things go bad, it could go all the way here. So, what does all this mean? So, if you look at the entry point here, at let's say that you got in at 42, and your stop loss was, you could have technically put a stop loss here. Stop loss was at 44, so that's 2 points. But your downside, the downside here is much greater. So you're looking at the possibility of getting all the way to, let's say, 30. So 30 minus 42, 42 minus 30, that's 12, 12 points for 2 points of risk. That's 1:6 risk reward ratio, which is fantastic. So these are the kind of trades that I like to look for, and that's what I found on this particular one. Finding these kind of opportunities takes work. Uh, it's amazing how most people would do bachelor's in computer science or economics or whatever it is, but they won't want to spend time learning about the markets to see how they work. Uh, it almost seems like it should just come naturally, and uh, most people think that it's and what is there that you could possibly do? You could just hit buy, and hit sell. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as that, and that's the reason why most people lose, primarily due to lack of education and overconfidence in what they're doing. So this was one of the opportunities that I found. This morning, I was looking at Delta, and Delta is another. In general, all the airlines I see this pattern, but I thought again the risk reward is better off in Delta. So I saw this pattern here where it was kind of getting to the crossing this area here. It was in a descending triangle formation, um, like the one we're seeing with gold right now, and it still hasn't broken out. So I put an entry point here, and sure enough, it got triggered, and that was a good 4 to 5% run today. And I expect this to go a lot lower. If you uh, look at the weekly, that becomes a lot more evident. So on a weekly, you can see the pattern is much clearer. Even in the larger trend, you can see there's a pretty steep descending triangle. That means there's a lot of force, and the sellers are pretty much in control here, and they're trying to push the price down. So that's what's happening with Delta. And when you look at the monthly, it becomes a little more evident. And you can see that there is absolutely no meaningful support anywhere in this area. So next area where there is support is around here, or maybe at the most around here. So, what kind of a risk reward does this give you? So now let's take a look. So if you put in a stop loss and an entry point here uh, at this point, let's say for the sake of argument that it's $20, make it a round number. And you could have put a stop loss out here at 23 perhaps. So now let's look at what happens in terms of risk reward. So 20 and 23, that's 3 points, and you're looking at the possibility of the market going to 8, and 23 minus 8, that is 15, and a risk of 3 points. So 3 is to 15, that's 1 is to 5. That's a risk reward ratio of 1 is to 5. So these are the kind of trades that I like to um, get into, and I'm happy to sit in this for a long time, however long it takes, uh, unless the price action tells me otherwise. Uh, so that's just the kind of thing that I do. I just find something, trigger it, sit on it. I'm not in here for 1 point, 2 point gains. Uh, I'm in here for big gains, and this is the kind of gain that I'm looking for. So 5x my risk, and so this was another stock that I found, and there's several charts like this which indicate that market is going to head lower. And even if the FANG stocks and other stocks hold on, it's highly likely that the other stocks will get dragged down, so the market's going to get much more narrower and narrower. So I wouldn't rule out any kind of a rally. It's absolutely possible. Anything's possible. But the fact is that a broad portion of the market is going down, while there are a handful of these big mega caps holding the averages up. And so instead of focusing on those mega caps, I'm much more focused on the ones that I'm sure of which are going to go down. And these are the kind of stocks that are headed down. Um, so let's see what's happening with gold. I think gold is still in that same descending triangle. Um, Given this price action here, at this point, I am waiting to see what happens. I do not want to get in either here or here. I think there's just way too much risk. When you see a coil like this for an extended period of time, there's going to be an explosion in either direction, and I don't want to be the one on the wrong side of that explosion. Uh, so I'm waiting to see what the price action does, and then we'll see if there's a good entry point. Um, and that's one of the things, again, if you're a trader and you're stuck in this kind of a price action where it's going up and down and up and down, it just takes a toll on you mentally. Imagine your balance going up and down by significant amounts every other day. It's pretty frustrating. You think it's going down, you get off, and then it reverses. You think it's going up, and then it goes down. This kind of price action is where you don't want to be. So you let everybody else kind of fight it out, and then figure out where it heads, and then um, figure out what the right entry point would be after all that fighting is over. So um, think so that's what I'm currently focused on. Um, so we'll see how this goes, and thanks for watching. And if you have any comments, questions, feel free to leave them. I'll try to address them in my next video. And That's all for now, and I'll see you next time.